Hey guys, it's Nikki from Self Mastery. I'm just going to tell you guys today about my awakening story, which basically happened to me last summer, in the summer of 2017. So it all started when I broke up with my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend. We were together for about 7 years, and it was okay at first, but as things proceeded, it became very toxic, very unhealthy, and it wasn't serving to neither of us. So it was actually very abusive, to be honest. So after I decided that I wanted to do something more with my life and I wanted to change the direction of how my life was going, it was really hard for me at first. I was very angry to walk away from a 7 year, I call like an investment, because I had money invested, I had love invested, my time, everything. It was really hard for me to walk away. I mean, I'm a 24-year-old woman now. When I dated him, at first I was about 19. We were talking since I was like 17, but we didn't actually start dating till I was about 19. So it was really hard for me to walk away, but I mean, it was the right thing to do. So when we first broke up, it was really hard for me to deal with the fact that I felt like I was giving up on something, and it's really hard for me to give up. But so basically I started praying a lot. I would pray every night for God to just give me a fresh start and be able to remove him from my life and be able to just have a new beginning. And afterwards, I did a self-examination. I started going inside of myself and spending a lot of time alone. And I started remembering things from my past that I didn't even remember. I started remembering activities I was interested in that I didn't even remember I was interested in, Because after, at least for me in my experience, after getting into a relationship, I started losing myself. I was more interested in what he was doing and where his career was going and what we're building together. But what about my dreams? My dreams didn't really matter in this scenario. And it should never be like that. So yeah, I did a lot of self-examination, and I realized I had a lot of things inside I needed to heal so that I could break the cycle of this. I didn't want to enter a new relationship down the line and it ends up being the same type of situation. So after all the prayer, I started to realize that we were getting more distant because he did have an attachment. And I don't mean to throw him under the bus, but he did have an attachment issue. He was like codependent in different ways, emotionally, even sometimes financially. It was out of control. And he's older than me, so yeah, I decided it was the best thing for us to do is just part ways without holding any grudges and like resentment. I just walked away and I said, forget it. Like, forget the money I invested, forget my time I invested, forget everything. Just forget about it. I want a brand new, fresh beginning. So God actually works in mysterious ways because he ended up putting someone in his life for him who he could give his attention to and who would give their attention back to him, which he needed or wanted. Me, on the other hand, I'm okay with being alone, so I was fine. So I just continued praying, and then I would just chill out a lot. And I was watching this show on YouTube. It's a show from Disney. I don't want to call any names because this is how the story gets interesting. So basically, in the show, there's a character, and I ended up meeting someone like as soon as I was watching the show. I've been watching the show for months, and one moment out of nowhere, I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened to so and so? They have the same name as the person in the character in the show. And I'm like, I remember so and so followed me on one of my social media platforms back in 2013. I'm like, I've never talked to so and so, but I mean, like I should. And then I ended up going to their Twitter, looking at their tweets, and I was like kind of internet stalking. And I'm like, after just getting out of an abusive relationship, I'm like, I don't want to do that again. So I was really careful with the people I was talking to. And I ended up talking to him and following him on Instagram. And we ended up talking like every day since. And he moved away in the summertime, no, in the wintertime, in November. He like just disappeared. We cut off communication, and I wasn't talking to him anymore, and I loved him. And basically, after he went away is when I started seeing the synchronicities, and I would see them every day. I would see his name everywhere. And I became so aware of different things. It was to the point that he'd be somewhere else and I'd be where I am, and I would be able to know what he's thinking, know what he's feeling, know that something happened to him, and I would call him, and lo and behold, the exact same thing I thought happened to him would happen to him, and it was crazy. And after that, I just kept proceeding from there to this point where I am now, knowing that like I'm really stepping into my power, regardless of him being here or not, or anyone being here. I just feel so empowered, and I feel like I'm stepping into my light, and I'm more certain of me more than ever. So I just want you guys to know that when you are going through your awakening process, literally just keep going with the flow. Keep believing everything is working out in your favor, even when it appears it's not. Just always remember to stay positive. Remember that we are divine feminines, divine masculines. Even if you're not a twin flame, just remember that like there's someone out there for you. There's just the world is at your fingertips. So I just want you guys to stay motivated, and hopefully this story inspires somebody. Thank you guys so much for listening.